This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Sterling Fox, and it's a Meet the New Doctor night here on Boomer Life. Dr. Paul Zickler is a former emergency room physician, 20 years at Royal Columbian Hospital in New Westminster. Moved on, established with some colleagues a series of urgent care clinics in Langley, Maple Ridge, and South Surrey, White Rock. And from there began to see American patients who would come up and just simply proximity. And when Americans started coming up here and having their medical needs attended to, and began to discover the discrepancy in prices between Canadian and American prescription drugs, ours being ridiculously low compared to theirs, more and more of them decided, particularly those on fixed incomes, for whom affordability of prescription medications can be a challenge. More and more of them started coming up to see our guest, Dr. Paul Zickler, and so he and his colleagues decided to go into the online prescription business with something called drsolve.com, Dr. Zickler, and that's where you left us dangling before the break. And we still haven't heard about YesWellness.com. So please connect those dots.
Well, right there, that's a very good place to begin, actually, with Yes Wellness, because during that time, I was still working in our family practice or in our walk-in clinics, and I'd been becoming increasingly more dissatisfied with the way I was practicing medicine. In that, it was very much time orientated. 6 or 8 minutes a patient. We had to keep the flow going to pay the bills of running a practice.
Sure.
And my patients, they didn't seem to be getting any better. I mean, they were maintained, and I'd be giving them prescriptions of the same kind of prescriptions that the people from the U.S. were coming up for as well.
Right.
And it was during that time that my daughter started attending Bastyr University in Seattle, which is a naturopathic school of medicine.
Okay.
And you can imagine my thoughts about thinking that one of my children is going to be a naturopath, and what sort of allopathic doctors think of naturopaths.
Right, and there was a bit of a divide in those days.
Well, there still
is. I was going to say it hasn't been completely smoothed over either.
It's changing,
yeah,
but for sure. But so I was actually quite supportive after I heard what she was doing and showed me the curriculum, and then I went down many times to do courses to sort of to open my mind and say, okay, what are they all about?
Okay.
And I was impressed with the allopathic side of their training, and in addition to all the other training they got in herbology and in acupuncture, in reflexology, and in spiritual care,
right,
and so forth.
But it wasn't though they were overlooking or neglecting Western practices
right.
in the process.
But I was certainly ignorant of all the other things they were doing.
That's right. And most Canadian docs, most of the Western traditional docs, they didn't realize that naturopaths were more than just, herbs and vegetables.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that really started opening my eyes. And I started to change some of the things I was doing in my clinical practice according to a new path. And
because your patients weren't getting any better.
And they worked.
Right.
And so I said to myself, well, this works. Maybe some of this other stuff works. But I mean, it was a really an awkward place because, in allopathic medicine, it's all evidence-based medicine, right? It's we got a random controlled placebo-controlled study, and it gives us the ultimate answer, and this is it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no gray area around it. And anything that doesn't have that is no good. And so, after reading more and being exposed to more, attending some of the clinics they run, and seeing the outcomes they had, I thought to myself, you know what? What I'm doing isn't all right.
Right.
There are some things I could do a whole lot better. And that's when I start getting interested in sort of the complementary side of medicine, and that's when I started getting interested in supplements and nutraceuticals and seeing what role they had to play in in wellness.
What is a nutraceutical?
Well, nutraceuticals is just a broad term that is basically vitamins and amino acids and different things that are natural based. They're not sort of synthetic based as pharmaceuticals are.
All right.
And so that really started taking more of my interest clinically. And the sort of the online pharmacy business is going to be there. I mean, I don't see any slowdown of the need for safe, affordable medications in the U.S. But I've sort of divested myself of that and started becoming more focused in terms of wellness.
Okay.
And my sort of interest in terms of training now is sort of along the lines of sort of integrative, functional, holistic. And you'll hear those terms interchangeably. And there are some differences, but basically those three terms refer to a medicine that looks at the total person, mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
And its lifestyle and its appropriate and its sort of additional lifestyles that go along with it. And look at getting wellness as opposed to treating the disease. So I'm going to look at some outcomes that are going to prevent my patient from being on 15 medications.
And isn't that the big difference between Western traditional medicine and the Asian-based naturopathic thinking? In we react in the West. We don't do anything until something goes wrong, and then we have a problem. Then we go to see somebody to get it fixed. Whereas in the naturopathic approach, it's all about prevention. It's all about get out there and be proactive to head the problem off before it knocks you down.
Well, that's exactly it, and I think that's sort of the impetus of becoming involved with a company like YesWellness, because that's really the direction that they want to go in terms of looking at the patient in terms of becoming empowered to change their life to become healthier. And so so what you see with, and especially in the U.S., now there is a very strong movement to develop more functional medicine or integrative medicine or holistic medical clinics.
As you say, the changes are coming ever so slowly.
Are coming, but they're growing in leaps and bounds. And so, for example, so if I just give you an example of how a clinic like that would work, it would be that you would go in to be seen, and you'd be seen by either the doctor or the naturopath or whichever you request, and there would be a 90-minute consult. 90 minutes.
As opposed to 8
minutes.
Yes, right.
After you filled out a sort of 28-page questionnaire. You would see the doctor or the naturopath for an hour, and then you'd see the functional nutritionist for half an hour. And during that time, they would give you the appropriate other investigative lab, for example, or things that they want to do, and then they'd start initiating things to reach your goals, and that's where you come together and you say, okay, what do you, as my patient, Sterling, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? You want to, I want to be able to live healthy. I want to feel good. I want to have energy. I want to sleep well at night, and I don't want to be taking all kinds of medications.
Absolutely. And somehow or another stay flexible enough to hit a golf ball every now and then.
Exactly. And so the doctor then empowers you to be part of the solution. And that's really what YesWellness wants to do. They want to empower you to be part of the solution to your health.
Well, it's finally the big reveal. YesWellness.com. Our guest, now we're going to find out more about what this company is all about. Our guest from YesWellness.com is Dr. Paul Zickler. And we are Boomer Life right here on CIL 650. And hoping that you'll stay with us, and we'll come back and finish it off with more on Yes Wellness in a couple of minutes.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.